How can having a following as a bartender make you more money? Regardless of the tipping culture in your country, we are going to explain why it is vital to have a personal brand as a bartender. Hi, I'm David Eden Sangwell from BartenderHQ, and since 2000 I've worked in pretty much every position you can imagine in the bar industry. In 2010 I was headhunted to work out in Dubai, helping to open a luxury hotel out on the Palm, but that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't built my reputation, which was as a flair bartender at the time, and today it's even easier to do than it was back then. But how can it make you more money? Well, the whole point of a bartender is to make money for the business. Your job as a bartender is not to be out there to be giving great service and making great drinks. That is all tools towards the end of what the actual job of the bartender is, and the job of the bartender is purely to make money come into the business that you're working for. Obviously those things are vital, the service and all of the rest of it is a vital aspect of it, because that is what's going to bring people back to your bar and make them recommend you. But it remains that the actual goal of being there as a bartender and working for the business is to purely bring money into that business. If you're not bringing money into the business can't pay you, and then there we go, your job is over. However, while you're doing all of this, and by giving great service and all of the other things that you need to do to keep people coming back into the bar, you can actually build your personal brand as a bartender as well, as a side aspect of it. Now, that doesn't take anything away from what you're doing for the business itself, and I don't think there's anything to be guilty about in terms of the fact that you're also thinking about what you might do next and what you might do in the future in the bar industry. Even if you have no intention at the moment of moving on to a new bar, there's always the possibility that that bar that you're currently working in, the owners might get bored of the idea and they might shut the place down, or they might sell it on to a new owner who doesn't take care of you as well as they did. But there's always as well the possibility that you might, through building this brand, get the opportunities to go and do something you'd never imagined before. So where do you start in building yourself a personal brand as a bartender? Well, you might already have done that. So if you've got a Facebook account and an Instagram account, then you might be well on the way to what you need to do. If you haven't got a Facebook account yet, go and sign up for a personal account now, and then we're going to get into how to set up a page, which is what you're going to need to do to kind of separate your personal life out from your bartending life. So let's assume that you've got your Facebook account set up now. If you haven't, as I said, pause this video, go and do that. It's free, it's always going to be free, ignore all the people that tell you otherwise. Go and set up your personal Facebook profile, and then we're going to get into setting up a page where you can essentially put all of your bartending content, and therefore anyone that's interested in you as a bartender or in your professional life will be able to find that content without you having to share everything about your family, if you don't choose to do that with your wider audience. So setting up the page is easy. You can easily just jump on Google and find out exactly how to do it. It changes so quickly that there's very little point in me actually going into the details on here. I'd like this video to work for a while. So go and set up a business page as a bartender. I would recommend using your own name if you can, and then perhaps putting the word bartender at the end of it. These pages you can actually change down the line, so if you decide to move on from bartending itself into something else in the industry, or even outside of the industry, you will be able to take those followers with you depending on where you decide to move to. Once you've set it up, all I would say to do is put in your basic information about where you work. You'll also want to choose yourself a cool cover image and a profile image. I would just recommend using your own face, unless you're actually trying to build a brand with a logo and that sort of thing, which I don't think is really the way to go with this. I would choose a nice picture of yourself, probably behind the bar. That is going to be a good solid choice to start with. Once you've got that, get yourself a cover photo up. If you are stuck for something to do, grab your phone and get yourself a picture of the back bar at the bar you work at. Just the bottles, that will be absolutely fine for now. Down the line you can put things like videos in there, so if you are a flair bartender or you want to do kind of quite elegant service, you can actually throw a video up into that cover profile area. That will make a really nice interest piece, and it also pops up in different places on Facebook, so it's well worth having a really good cover image once you get to that point. For now though, just anything will work. Some pictures of some cocktails, your back bar at work. If you are really stuck, go to pexels.com, PEXELS.com, or Pixabay is the other one. These are two websites that have completely free images. You won't get into any trouble using them for commercial purposes or for your page or anything like that. So if you're also really stuck for something to put on Instagram, these are quite good, as long as you can make a reasonable drink that can go with that image. But remember, other people will probably be using that image as well, so it won't look super unique. Okay, once we've got your Facebook page up and running, the next thing to do is Instagram. So head over to Instagram if you don't have an account already. Now with Instagram, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you need to have a separate account for your bartending and a separate account for your personal life. People will tend to kind of look over stuff that they're not as interested in on Instagram, and focus on the stuff that they are. So it's up to you whether you want to have a separate one for yourself as a bartender, or if you want to just kind of bring everything in. One of the things that I think is quite important actually in this is that you can show your own personality outside of bartending as well. Whether you decide to combine that in the way that we've done with Booze and Bazinga, which is where we're really, myself and Sam are very, very much into the Marvel comic movies and DC stuff. So we have kind of created this little brand of Booze and Bazinga where we do chats about different movies that are coming out, but also quite often we will create drinks to go along with those. It's a nice way of bringing a little bit of our personality into it as well. As I say, get your Instagram set up. If you want to have a separate account, absolutely fine. If you don't, that's cool too. And one of the cool things that you can do is, because Instagram is actually owned by Facebook, is it's very, very simple to cross-post. Now, in the ideal situation, you will make individual content for Instagram and Facebook separately. However, while you're getting started and you want to get more content out there and you want to post as much as you can, there's no real problem, I don't think, with having everything that you post onto Instagram automatically post across onto your Facebook page as well. Let's be honest, the audience that you're going to be appealing to works on both sides. Facebook works well with images and little video clips. There are some nuances which we'll get into in another video on what is the best way to do a Facebook video if you're looking to get as much traffic to it as possible and as many views as possible. And the same with Instagram. With both of these platforms, you're looking to catch people in the first few seconds of your video playing without any sound on, because typically when you're going through your feed, you're not listening to sound. But Instagram has also got that stories feature where you are going to be able to put a whole bunch of stuff. And the stuff on stories you don't necessarily need to curate as carefully. So if you're not quite sure, the feed is the main part of Instagram, where you would get the square images that everyone is used to on Instagram, and then the stories feed is the little bit at the top where you go to your main feed and you have the little circles with different people's profiles in, and if you tap them you get the full screen kind of vertical images and videos, and you can add multiple things to that, but they will disappear after 24 hours. So this is the kind of place where you can kind of play around with things a little bit more. You can sort of repost stuff that other people have shared while giving credit. Of course, I don't endorse people just ripping other people's content. On BartenderHQ, even in the feed, we use an app called Repost, which allows you to basically reshare stuff that other people have put up, but it also gives them a little credit on the image, and we also repost their captions, so it's got all their follow information. Because with BartenderHQ, I can't physically make enough videos with everything else that we've got going on to fill the feed quite often enough, so it's quite nice to be able to give other people a bit of love and share some of the work that they're doing. Now, one of the really important things that you're probably thinking is, right, what am I going to post on these platforms? I don't have time to be making specific content and videos and sitting down like I am right now talking to you for 10-15 minutes. And this is the thing that's come from Gary Vaynerchuk, which is document rather than create. So document over create means that you should basically share your journey. The last thing that I want people to be doing is pretending that they are an expert when they've been bartending for 3 months or 6 months. You're not an expert at that point, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being new to something. It's just that you need your content to reflect that. There's nothing wrong with being in the learning process, and it's much better to be sharing the process that you're going through and also the effort that you're putting into your craft. That is as interesting to people as being the kind of world's foremost expert on tequila and how that's produced. So I think it's very important to be true to who you actually are and not who you would like to be. So fake it till you make it is off limits as far as I'm concerned. If you want to do it and you do it well, that's great, but I can imagine it will backfire pretty quickly. So just to give you an example of this document over Create, I would be probably including some videos. If you're a flair bartender, for example, you can include practice session videos. You can include loads of stuff where it goes wrong. You could do like a bloopers compilation and literally grab all the clips of you dropping stuff. I wouldn't put that up first. I'd put up some videos of you nailing some stuff to get your confidence and get used to it. But once you actually get used to this posting schedule and things like that, actually putting up the stuff where you drop is probably going to engage your audience more than the stuff where you are nailing it. Purely because if you've ever watched Eminem, and this is another thing that Gary Vaynerchuk comes out with quite often, at the end there's the rap battle, and the first thing that Eminem does is takes the mickey out of himself, so that he leaves nothing for anyone else to do. And if you're in any way sort of worried about what people are going to think of this stuff, it's quite weird to be putting up these videos of yourself just pointing a camera at yourself all day long. If you're concerned, then this is actually a really, really good technique for kind of getting rid of a lot of that worry, is that if you put up the stuff where you're laughing at yourself first, does it matter if someone else laughs as well? I don't think it does, and they probably won't even bother if they can see that you're not worried about these little small failures that are taking you closer and closer to your goals. You may now be thinking, right, I've got my platform set up, I've got Facebook and I've got Instagram, how do I actually get people to follow me? Well, there's nothing wrong with getting your friends to follow you at the beginning. I would certainly invite your friends. Once you've got a few pieces of content up there, make sure you're using hashtags on Instagram. Instagram is a huge hashtag game so that you can actually get people to discover the stuff that you're doing. Anything that's relevant to what you're doing, hashtag. But as I say, initially invite your friends to follow you, and also ask them for some honest feedback on what you're doing there, because they might be looking at it and going, yeah, this is fine, but I wish Dave was also posting some garnish stuff about cocktails, or some really nice pictures of his cocktails, or I'd really like to know what a day in the life is like. So all of these things are going to be really useful to you, and even you can do questions and answers, and around the topics that you want to do. So as a bartender, you might be really studying tequila because of the bar that you work in today, and maybe you want to do a questions and answers session on tequila, and you might find that you don't know the answers to everything, and that's cool, because that means that you can be like, this is something interesting, I can go away, I can research this, and then you can make a little video that explains what you found through your research. So if you don't know something, say you don't know it and find out. It gives you a really interesting insight into what your customers want. So on that topic, if you've got anything that you want me to do more of with this series on personal branding, or if you've got any bartending questions at all, hit me up down in the comments below. We've kind of covered setting up the platforms, we've covered a little bit about content and what to put on there, but why are we doing all of this? For me, the reason that we're trying to create this brand around yourselves as a bartender is because bartenders' wages are not great in pretty much anywhere. However, chefs' wages are going up now because people are used to the fact that chefs know what they're doing, they have a real expertise, but that still hasn't, in the widespread world, come across to bartenders necessarily. Sure, there are certainly bars where bartenders are very well respected, the Savoy in London, the Edgbaston in Birmingham, places all around the world, and especially in the US, bartenders make a really good salary, and well, not a salary, but bartenders make really good money in terms of tips, and they're quite respected in that respect, because they are quite well remunerated. However, outside of the sort of key cocktail markets and some of the US, bartenders don't make a huge amount of money. However, by building your personal brand, you're opening yourself up, to having some negotiating room. So when you do get hired for somewhere, you have got a little bit more leeway to be able to negotiate a better hourly salary. If you are looking to consult for people, if you can show your expertise through the videos that you create and the drinks that you're making on these videos, you are going to be able to command a higher salary, and you're also going to be able to, or a higher fee rather, for a consultant, and you're also going to be able to access more of the people that are going to be looking for a consultant, because they're going to find you when they're looking online for cocktails. And this is what I'm trying to do, is that we're trying to build you guys up and show the expertise that you have, how we can demonstrate this to potential customers, and also the regulars that you will build up at your bar. You need to find a way that you can communicate with your regulars for when you're going to be at that bar, when they're going to be able to find you. So you could even be posting on your Facebook page, hey guys, I'll be in tonight from 5 PM till close, I'll be in Saturday from 6 PM till close. If you can build up this base of regular customers who come into the bar to see you, if you move to another bar within your city or within that neighbourhood, they are going to follow you. That bar immediately is going to have an uptick in customers because you're bringing your regular base with you. And if you move to a different city, you've already demonstrated that you can build a following of regular guests, that you are respected in the bar world, and that you know how to market and how to talk to people. So all of these things are really, really important and will stand you in great stead to get yourself the better jobs going forward, better bars with better tips and better salaries. And if you want to move on to something in the brand world like what I'm doing currently, then you're going to be in good stead. I'm David Eden Sangwell for BartenderHQ, and if you've got any questions, hit me up down below, hit subscribe, and follow us along on our journey of making you famous in your area.